and historically also what we have evolved from all developments which has happened, what Mixter and Bar had was 2 out of the 3 cases with thoracic handle had paraplegia. So what was the lesson then was laminectomy is not to be done for a thoracic disc, and the same way things have evolved for costotransversectomy for a transthoracic approach and the posterolateral approach, but that is very clear that laminectomy is not something which is needed for a thoracic disc. That should be the clear thing, and the dreaded complication what Deepak already told is written on wall, it is paraplegia. Let's go into a little bit of basic because this is the only thing which we can make inside us so that we don't commit mistakes. So in thoracic cord, there is a pyometer consolidation there which works like a dentate or a denticulate ligament and which prevents the movement of the neural tissue and the dura per se. So the posterior migration of the dura by a disc does not happen in a thoracic disc, so there is more profound deficit chances which are there. At the same time, that also prevents the manipulation surgical which you are able to easily do in a lumbar or upper lumbar. Then there is the precarious vascular supply with a watershed area between T4 to T9. At the same time, the anterior spinal artery, which can easily get thrombosed by a small disc prolapse also, it has been a contributory to major profound deficits, and when there is no collaterals which is developing. Calcification is quite frequently seen and many of the cases asymptomatic are noted. Accelerated degeneration is something which is been favored and which has been talked about. 4 to 6% of patients without disc herniation would have it, but at the same time up to 70% of the patients with disc prolapse have it. So that is always to be remembered that you investigate this patient, and as I told you, manipulation somehow we have to remember that for thoracic it is not to be done. Rest of the spine it is unavoidable in some circumstances here, but it will not be pardonable. And hear me out when I am saying this and consider it on this image which I am showing you. If you draw 2 lines there on the ventral reach by a posterior axis in thoracic or lumbar spine, this line is where you reach by even by a facetectomy, and whatever you are able to do ventral to it is possible by a curate or a pen fill easily, but you have to remember that your reach is here in the thoracic spine. The cord is hugging on the vertebral body and 1/3 of the cord is into the body. That's why it is a heart-shaped cord, and whatever manipulation you are doing, you are actually hitting the anterior part of the cord, and that's exactly what should fit into our mind, and that's we have to investigate by CT compulsorily. X-rays and MRI always goes there. I'll just take you through one of our publications for thoracic disc to make it understand more. Soft disc and hard disc. In the soft disc, what you put is a cut here. Then you work underneath to create space inside the disc and then press it down into it and deliver it. You don't directly pull out a thoracic disc as you do in the lumbar. In fact, in lumbar also it is not to be done. It is to be pushed inside and then has to be delivered. For a calcified hard disc, but the cut is to be put on the spurs which are there, so you create more bony space. You may have to even remove part of the pedicles and things also, and you create wider space by removing more of vertebral body end plates also, and then push the fragments there. And if you see this as a mount of the compression, never work there, never touch there. You have to work here and create space, then only you have to do that too at a trajectory which is not this, which is this, or which is this as a transthoracic or extreme lateral approach. So other thing what would come in a transthoracic approach, transforaminal approach is the head of the rib that would be sitting more into the foramen as you go higher up. But at the D10, 11, 12 levels, they are quite free and you can escape and not do any rib head job there. And this is the exact image which you have to bring it to if you want to go transforaminally. This is a 30-degree view. For a lumbar you can use AP, but this is an oblique view which pain physicians use frequently, and this is something which I would recommend and say for all those who want to venture into this by transforaminal. This is the rib head there, this is the facet joint complex there, and this is exactly the point where you have to land your needle, and this is the cord region which is there. So this image you have to remember, and this is where you have to reach. This is a case by Sukumar because my statistics for thoracics are lesser and he would decompress it good anteriorly also. And as said, he would put a needle at this angle of say 50, 60 degree, 70 degree at 7 degrees, 8 centimeter from midline, putting it there, docking there, and you go ahead with a decompression. What is visible, you can see the disc removed there, you can see the end plate bilaterally removed, you can see the entirety of the cord visible. So you can see the extent of the decompression which is possible foraminally. And this is what I would suggest. Instead of using a needle, if you use a Jamshed, it is quite good and easy to land there. But certain words of caution: don't use outside in for thoracic. It should not be. Rule out ventral spine cord herniation. Whenever there is a coexisting pathology, it is always better to deal the dorsal pathology first, and intraoperative neuromonitoring if it is under GA. Don't work on the mount but under it. Do general ventrolateral work. Surgical level should not be missed, and you can go flat in a lumbar but not in a thoracic disc, because as you go central you are going to hit cord. So be careful, and you can do biportal, and both ports you can use to achieve a complete decompression calcified disc this way transforaminally. Thank you.